Some messages from Pope Francis. And is Pope Leo XIV the imposter that is predicted in the last Pope prophecy? Let's look into that. Welcome to Trevor's Tarot Astrology and Spirituality. First off, a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing the videos, for promoting the channel. If you've donated money to the channel through the super thanks, Venmo, buy me a coffee, a huge, huge thank you. So let's just kind of throw some cards and see if we can get some messages from Pope Francis, along with some stuff that I've written down from scrying and meditating about this. And then we'll look to see if Pope Leo XIV is the imposter that's described in the last Pope prophecy. All right, what messages do we need to know from Pope Francis? I think the big one that came through while meditating is just a kind of a Buddhist doctrine of you are no better than anybody and nobody else is better than you. Kind of a message of equality. See what we get. So we get the Two of Cups. So partnerships are important. Going through this life, as humans alone can be pretty difficult. And so having, a companion, a partner, a spouse, a significant other is important to the life experience. Not that it's wrong to go through life without one. It's just that it's a part of the human condition that can't be met any other way, is what I'm getting. That tight affection that we as humans have. And I mean, I think this could relate to your pets too. I don't think it has to relate to another human. But knowing this tight affection that we're capable of and this like unconditional love, or at least heartfelt affection towards, is something very unique to the human experience. And I think Pope Francis, when he was alive, was trying to convey this by washing the feet of the poor and the criminals and not really placing himself above anybody else. And I think that's the important message that he wants to convey. We go through life with choices, but choices are an illusion. So now, while we might choose to go left or right when we're driving our car, it's a pretty clear choice. Some of the choices that we have in life, we don't really see the outcome to in the beginning. So perhaps it's a matter of choosing this career path or this career path, or choosing not to be friends with this person or choosing to be friends with this person. A lot of these choices are very blind, and the outcome is completely unknown at the time. Just imagine you're completely lost in the backcountry and you come to a fork in the road and you have to decide whether to go right or left. You really have no idea which way is going to lead to which. Now, maybe both choices are great. Maybe both choices are bad. Maybe one choice is superior to the other in some aspects. And I think that's what's being conveyed here, is that we have choices, but in the end, all choices really are, in most senses, are an illusion, right? Life is going to play out the way it's going to play out based on our choices, but we have no idea if it would be better if we'd made different choices. So this idea of regret, I think, is what's coming through. Not having regrets, because you never know. If you'd made a different choice, your life might be completely different and you might be unhappy. Be connected to the spirit world, the star card. Here the imagery is very clear. She's in thoughtful reflection, looking up to the heavens. Uh, Being connected to the spiritual world will allow you to, I think, accept the fact that we have no control in life. And really accepting that is a pretty tough thing to do. We can save for retirement, but there's no guarantee that we live to retirement age, for example. We can get the job that we love and we can be working at it and enjoying it, but there's no guarantee that that job doesn't go away next week. So, there's really no guarantee that wealth stays at its current value, right? So everything really is kind of an illusion. And therefore, I think having what's coming across is having this spiritual connection to where we understand that our choices are blind and that we are really just trusting that things are going the right way will maybe help mitigate some of these situations. We get apathy in the environment around. It's hard to live amongst people who are apathetic, especially if you're really passionate. Like if you're really passionate politically, and then you have people that you encounter that have no opinions on the current political situation, that's hard to deal with. It's hard to deal with people that don't have opinions, that are just kind of apathetic. I think the reason they're there is to let us make choices about what we value and why we value them, and let those be reaffirmed. And the people that are apathetic just kind of reinforce our values. So, and some people might not be perceived as apathetic by everybody, right? And maybe you're perceived as apathetic by some, and some people perceive others as apathetic. It's really all very conditional to your situation. At the center of the readings, the hanged man, pausing in suspension. And I think the message here is just the temporariness of the human experience. Is we're currently in a state of pause and suspension. We're living our lives, but as spiritual beings, what we're learning during this state is really slow going. We don't learn big spiritual lessons overnight. So we might want to be closer to whatever deity we want to believe in or call it, God, spirit, the universe, what have you. Um, but these are not easy lessons. And I think that's what Pope Francis's message was about. And that's, his message about who am I to judge? You know, People don't grow spiritually overnight. And I think that's what that's about. Fighting and conflict in the environment around, we're certainly surrounded by it. There's, the craziness in Russia and Ukraine. There's the craziness in Israel and Gaza. There's craziness in Africa, India, Pakistan, for example. All of this infighting in the environment around, again, is shaping the spiritual development. Even if it's just a matter of saying to yourself, I don't want anything to do with that. Or if it's saying, maybe a broader message about religious intolerance, for example, with the India Pakistan thing. It's all part of our spiritual development. So we start out life with like this fiery vigor and this passion. And if we're lucky, we keep that the whole way through. If we're not, we kind of end up in this apathetic sort of state. So ask yourself, are you living in your passion? I think is the message that he wants to convey. And the high priestess and the environment around, there are things that we're just not supposed to understand. There are things that are hidden from us for a reason. We're not supposed to understand them. Perhaps we're not supposed to understand why we didn't get into this college, or we didn't get this job, or we didn't um, marry this person, or we got rejected by so and so. Maybe we're not supposed to understand why. Maybe we should just go along with the trust that that was the correct choice for that situation. And maybe it was sort of divine guidance. So a friend of mine always says rejection is protection. So, not getting a job very well might protect you from something. And we get the Page of Swords. This is being playful and maybe slightly immature and not taking things so seriously. So partnerships can help us develop spiritually, but so can taking the time to just be playful and being immature and realizing things really aren't that serious. Um, in the grand scheme of the billions of years that the universe has existed, now things seem very serious in this moment in time, but in the grand scheme of things, things aren't that serious. And I think if more people took the time to play, I think the idea is that uh, the human populace would be able to get along a little bit better. So we all start out fiery and ready to go. We start seeking our reason for existence. And we often lose sight of trusting that there's a reason for our existence. In fact, sometimes it's hard to believe that there is a reason for our existence. Know that some of the things that happen in life, you're just not supposed to know the answers to. Know that the fighting in the world around us is helping to shape us as spiritual beings, right? This spiritual development that's very slow going. And that the people that are apathetic to the causes that we believe in and support, they also help shape us. And that control and decisions in general are kind of an illusion. Now, you could obviously take that way too far. I mean, there's a difference between choosing to eat McDonald's every day and choosing to eat healthy food, right? There are some choices that aren't that blind, but in general, kind of choices are kind of an illusion. There's no guarantee you could eat McDonald's every day and be fine, and you could eat healthy and then die young. It's hard to say. Look out for fiery messages. Um, look out for things that really ignite your passion. Don't be overwhelmed by all the choices that life provides. Try to find your one niche. And we get the family and reunion card. And I think this is sort of the biggest message from the Pope Francis is reuniting with family and friends to develop spiritually. Now, this does not have to be a biological family, right? This could just be your friends. In fact, there are some people that have biological families that they shouldn't reunite with, right? So I think that's overall the message is don't take life so seriously. Choices are kind of an illusion. Some things happen for your good that you don't understand. And um, the people that annoy us the most are the people that help us grow. So those people that don't understand, like that have no opinion. If you're in the United States and you have no opinion on politics, for example, those people are hard to deal with if you have a very strong opinion in politics. Okay. All right. So is Pope Leo the 16th, or sorry, the 14th, is he the imposter in this last Pope prophecy? Do we need to know about him? He's very passionate and he was meant to be a leader. He's got a lot of fiery energy. He is did choose the name Leo, which is a fire sign. The environment around there's a lot to be offered and a lot to be gained from him. The Nine of Pentacles. We get the Eight of Cups in the upper right. We'll have to see what this means, but this is walking away from things that no longer serve us. We get a surprising new beginning in the environment around. We get confinement and being trapped or feeling trapped at the center of the reading. And I think this is actually going to turn out to be a positive card, but let's see. We get the Star card of hope, the environment around. We get things moving rather quickly with the Knight of Swords. And then we get the King of Cups, empathetic leadership, being drawn towards people that care. And we get a lot to be revealed. So he's a very passionate and very fiery leader. He's working through this transition where the church feels kind of trapped in its own dogma. And I think that's what that's about. And I think we'll see that some things come to the surface. He might actually reveal some things that we don't know about church dogma. And he's on the move. He wants to move quickly to get past this sort of confined stage so that the church can grow and people can walk away from this feeling trapped by the church. And I think this has to do a lot with women's rights. I think this has to do with LGBTQ rights. I know he said some things in the past that aren't so pleasant, but I think ultimately that's what it is about. It's about moving through this phase. He's going to take the church through this phase of people not really wanting to be part of it, into people deciding either to walk away from that they can walk towards the church, so to speak, by him walking away from some of the dogma. So I think in that sense, a lot of people might think he's the imposter for his whole papacy, but I don't actually think he is. I think he has everything around him that he needs. He's got the Star card of protection. He's going to be a refreshing new start, and he's going to be thought of as a very empathetic leader. So I don't think he is the imposter in the prophecy. In fact, I think he'll bring about justice. I think he's going to be a pretty successful pope. Of course, there are going to be things that he says that we don't like, but that's true of everybody. So, yeah. Anyhow, I'll be back with another reading soon. Thank you.